Before we get started, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a warning that there will be spoilers for the Danganronpa series, mainly for Danganronpa V3, the third installment. There will also be suggestive topics mentioned in this video, so if you are not comfortable with that, I will put timestamps in the description so you can skip those sections. Also, all Miu Iruma fans, a little bit of a warning, I kind of shit on her in this video, so if you are a big fan and this will hurt your feelings, you can also skip that. And with that, now for our feature presentation. You may not know what Danganronpa is. If you do know it, you know that the games are brilliant at their best, and at their worst...
I like him younger, as young as possible.
But for those who don't know it, God bless your heart, you are very fortunate. I'll just do a very brief summary because I'm assuming most people watching this are already fans. At least I hope. I'm really sorry if I scare people away with this video. Anyway, Danganronpa is a series of games, plus some anime series, developed by Spike Chunsoft. It centers around a group of students who are placed in a school and forced to kill each other. Sounds totally normal so far. This school is called Hope's Big Academy, and students that get selected to go here have ultimate high school level talents. So like, think Hollywood arts, but these kids aren't artists, they're just built different. But killing each other isn't what the school was originally for, no. This little Monokuma is the one orchestrating the entire killing game. The game goes as follows. Student kills student investigates murder, students go to trial, student finds killer gets executed, and the story repeats. This formula is used for 3 individual game titles: Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Super Danganronpa 2, and Danganronpa V3. I am here to tell you that this game has some crazy problems. We're about to talk about all of them, but be warned, some of them are quite egregious and bizarre. This game has a lot of issues, and while I love it, it struggles. it struggles hard. One of the main story components in these games is unmasking the mastermind that is Monokuma. This is where we find one of the biggest issues with V3, or so I think so. But no good show starts with the end, so we will save the finale for the finale, and let's get on to some of the other issues. Miu. That is all. Okay, so my original plan was to just have a funny haha joke where I say, okay, well, Miu is an issue and we're not going to talk about it, but you know what? I've decided we're going to talk about it, and I apologize in advance because this character, she sucks. Why does she, legitimately, why did they write this character? Miu Iruma is the ultimate inventor. She invents fun little gadgets, and a lot of the time they're very oddly specific. Now, this talent of hers, it really exists to fuel her ego, and she has to live because she's so smart, you know? Miu's ultimate ability actually does help a little bit. She works on the cameras for the first trial, and she also does the computer for the virtual reality component. My issue isn't her talent or her contribution to the actual main story. My issue is the way she acts around other characters and her dialogue. You see, the writers of this game decided it would be fantastic to make a character so incredibly horny that every single word out of their mouth is an innuendo or sex joke. And oh my god, it becomes the most grating, annoying thing ever. And it got to the point where I was rooting for her to die. And it's been very rare in these games that I root for a character to die. Most of the time, characters have their little quirks. They have issues, right? They can be a little bit irritating, but never to the point where I am begging for them to be killed off. And Miu does get killed off, and it was actually quite predictable because right before she was killed off, her horniness and her dialogue got to be so horrendous to where it ramped up to maximum capacity, and I was like, There's no way this continues much longer. This has to be the end, because it started off pretty tame, and by the end, Miu was like being horny in class trials, happy to be called a
Cum dumpster! Finally! Someone finally called me a cum dumpster!
Also, I may be overly dramatic at this moment, but Miu genuinely sexually assaults Kibo, and I don't know why we don't talk about this, because Kibo is clearly very uncomfortable with this.
Your body is seriously incredible. I've never seen one like this.
And is like, what the fuck are you doing? And Miu just has no respect for this man's privacy or personal space, and I don't think that's okay. She also just kind of strips in front of Gonta, which like, leave my poor baby boy alone. Oh my god. Besides the fact that Miu is very horny to the point of irritation, she's also just extremely mean. I don't understand why they felt the need to make this character insult literally every single other person. I understand that she's supposed to have an ego. Her main plot point is that she's an inventor and she thinks she's smart and the most brilliant person alive, and so everyone around her are just little worms. But she has zero character growth, and she has random moments where she's nice and sweet. But that makes no sense. This is never built upon further. We never get any sort of backstory for her as to why she's like this. Even in her report card, when you hang out with her during free time, she just is rude, horny, and insults you the entire time. There's no backstory given, to my knowledge. I don't remember, because I just remember her being foul as hell. So what purpose does she serve? Okay, maybe she's fan service. Fine. I mean, her sprites explain that to us. But this also just kind of alienates all your female players, which, let's be real, a majority of Danganronpa players and enjoyers are female or women or of feminine expression. So why do this? This character is so pointless, and I wish she would just be wiped off the face of the earth. I don't care if you think she's funny. Honestly, I hate her. She's not funny. She's annoying. She's disgusting, frankly, and she kind of just ruined a lot of moments for me. And for those who are Miu fans, I just want to be clear, there were moments in the beginning of this game where she was tame and she was making funny little one-off jokes, and I kind of enjoyed that. I could understand it, because Danganronpa at its core is inappropriate humor sometimes, quirky, a little bit like out there. But as she grew, as I realized that this character had no other purpose besides being mean and making sex jokes, it just went downhill for me. And I'm very sorry if you like her, but I can't. I don't get it. Also, don't come at me saying I'm slut-shaming, because literally this character feels like she was written to slut-shame women, actually. It feels like she was written to be a sex-positive, body-confident female character, but was flanderized to the point of actually making fun of people like that. And I could literally go on and on all day about this character, but we're done here. Okay, now that we're done ranting, we're going to talk about an actual game mechanic that has issues in this game, or at least that I have issues with, and that's a mechanic called Perjury. So in every Danganronpa trial, the player is tasked with shooting truth bullets at misinformation that is presented during a trial. It's also possible to agree with a statement that appears in blue text. However, V3 introduces a fun little thing called lying. Yeah, lying. You can just lie. Granted, you can't just lie whenever you want and with whatever statement. There are specific moments where you can lie, and unfortunately moments where you physically have to lie to move the story forward. And this mechanic only makes sense in one instance, and that's in the beginning. Kaede is the killer. Okay, I didn't warn about spoilers, but yes, Kaede committed murder as far as she knows and lies to protect Shuichi. This instance is the only time this is fine. She has no reason to demand trust from people when she's guilty. Her reputation is about to be tarnished anyway, so her actions leading up to the outcome don't necessarily matter. Kaede knows who the killer is, so steering suspicion away from Shuichi makes sense. But in every situation when Shuichi lies, it drives me up a wall. Shuichi is the ultimate detective and therefore holds a lot of power in the trials. If we're disillusioned from the fact that he is the main character, he logically should be the most trustworthy person in the room. But every time Shuichi lies, I cannot help but feel like he should get beaten up. What is saying that the other students should trust in him if time and time again he lies to their faces? And it's not like he's slick, because Shuichi has been caught lying multiple times and admits it. It makes zero sense that anyone should believe a single thing coming out of his mouth by the final trial. The game sets up the idea that lying is used to draw out the killer because only the killer knows the truth. I'm not arguing that it doesn't work. My point is that it only ruins the reputation of somebody that is supposed to hold a lot of voice in the trial. I don't know. Everybody seems to hate Kokichi because he lies all the time, or he's just kind of an asshole, but like realistically, how different are we from Kokichi if we just lie? Like, come on. Also, I don't think Kyoko would ever lie. That's that for this section. So, a questionable inclusion to V3 that I need to talk about are the Monokubs. I've actually seen some mixed reception for these dudes because some people actually seem to like them. They are intended to be comic relief characters, and they're basically Monokuma's kids, and they do draw attention away from Monokuma himself. They rarely actually influence the story, and when they do, it's to interject minor information, and they do infiltrate executions somehow. The issue of the Monokubs is kind of subjective. As I said, like, some people enjoy them, and comedy is definitely to each their own. For me, I find them annoying. They take away from the vibe, and they draw attention from Monokuma, like I said, who is usually pretty influential and important. When I say they take away from the vibe, you have to remember these games are supposed to have an overarching tone, horror, and murder. Not all the time, but think about it. The previous entries in the series never took themselves too seriously, but they still gave the player breathing room. They let you feel invested in story beats before giving you minor comedic relief. The Monokubs pop up at the most irritating times, have the most annoying dialogue that plays over and over again, and their inherent nature take away any air of seriousness. But there is something truly unforgivable that the Monokubs do, and we're about to talk about that. It's the subplot. I ask that you please take a moment to look at the screen. I will be calling this specific thing incense in this section of the video to avoid spamming a disgusting word and making YouTube mad. The specific incense plot used by the Monokubs is within the morning and evening announcement cutscenes. It happens between the only female Monokub, Monofeni, and another that I don't really care to remember the name of. The two of them fall in love, then end up in an abusive alcoholic relationship. It's really quite the fever dream. Also, I forgot until recording this that Monofeni gets pregnant. I can't even. It's an intentional insertion of incense, as the game reiterates over and over how the Cubs are siblings and children of Monokuma. If you want to defend the plot because they're just stuffed animals, fine. We have more. Another instance is within the character of Kyo. During the third class trial, Kyo removes his mask and reveals that he's attempting to collect friends for his dead sister, which she's also a part of him somehow, not sure how that works. Which this works as a horror element and is definitely creepy. I see where they're coming from with this, but the guy loves his sister a little too much. This reveal is definitely uncomfortable and it's unnecessary in my opinion. Because bro could have easily just been in love with someone not his sister and had the same MO. And maybe it's coincidence that there's two instances, but no. It may surprise you that there are in fact 3 instances of incense in this game. In the New Game Plus area of the game, there is a mode, like the past 2 titles, in which you can complete report cards for all the characters. It's a simple mode where you just talk to characters and build bonds. You can also go on dates with the characters, much like past titles. What you may or may not know is that in this game mode, you can have romantic fantasies where you spend the night with another character. Let's of course not ignore the fact that these are high schoolers, and why there needs to be an insinuation of actual inappropriate doings in this game, I don't know. Though, I guess they probably figured they wrote Miu of all characters, so why the hell not at this point? In these fantasies, it's explained that Shuichi is in another character's dreams, and what is happening is their fantasy, which, fine, that's fine. But in Tsumugi's fantasy, Shuichi is her stepbrother, and oh boy, do we know what that means. Never thought I'd hear Tsumugi say this.
If I ignored these feelings just because we're siblings, I'd regret it the rest of my life. That's how much I like you.
Honorable mention is Tenko's fantasy, in which Shuichi is her, quote, brother in the Neo Aikido art, which, no, they're not technically related, but she's calling him brother, and I don't know if you think you're slick, Spike Chunsoft, but you ain't slick.
I'm being completely serious. I want to be yours, and yours alone. So, brother Shuichi, if you ever wanna, you can do anything you want to me. Anytime, any place, and I'll be ready.
Honestly, I want to make a closing note here, but I genuinely have no idea what to say, because, like, what the fuck? Why is there so much incest in one game? Like, who? Anyway, we're finally on to the last section. Okay, here we are. The sacred end of the game, the 6th class trial. So I've rewritten this and changed it a few times because explaining just what is wrong with the end of this game can be a little convoluted. And I also don't want to discredit the fact that some fans actually love this ending, and there are good things about it. So I'm gonna present it unbiased first and then explain what's good and bad about it. So much like all of the past 6th class trials in each game, the students are tasked with figuring out what is the truth. What is the truth of the killing game, of the school that they're in? What is the truth? Well, one of the first truths that is introduced is that Kaede was not actually the killer of Rantaro. If you'll remember, Kaede dropped a shot football, which theoretically fell on Rantaro's head, killing him. Her plan failed, and the person who made it happen was actually Tsumugi. Tsumugi, after having all of these fingers pointed at her, blames Junko because it's always Junko, until Tsumugi turns into Junko. So the general gist of all that's revealed is this. So Danganronpa, however you want to pronounce it, I feel I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole video. Danganronpa is fiction, and the cast of this fictional world is being watched by an audience. The entire killing game has been watched by an audience. That audience is the real world. Why, you ask, would the world want to watch a killing game? And it's explained that the real world is so peaceful that it's boring, and so killing games are a wonderful form of entertainment. We are also told that there have now been 53 Danganronpas, this being the 53rd, which makes a lot of sense considering Roman numerals in the title. Yeah, smart, so smart. It's also told to us that these games are worked on by something called Team Danganronpa. Part of a plot point is that the characters that we have grown to know and love are all scripted, much like how fiction is scripted. None of their memories are real, and none of their feelings are real either. So, you know, Maki kind of taking a liking to Kaito, totally not real, not her own feelings. It was a plot line scripted by Team Danganronpa. How, you ask, are the audience watching the killing game? Well, Kibo himself is a vessel for the audience to watch the events of the killing game through his eyes. His inner voice, it's shown to us that he has an inner voice that he listens to, and that inner voice is the audience, aka the player, because he asks his inner voice what he should do, and we, the player, choose what he does, meaning that we are the audience, in a way. Kibo, after deciding to fight for hope with his inner voice, is revealed as the ultimate hope robot, much like how in our past games we've had protags be revealed as ultimate hope, so like Makoto Naegi and Hajime Hinata. Tsumugi explains to the characters that they can't actually go back to reality. Oh yeah, so they were originally from the real world and were somehow ported into this Danganronpa universe. Well, there's no going back now. Even if they are to win the game somehow, or defeat Tsumugi and Monokuma or whoever, there's no going back to the real world. Tsumugi says that they have to choose hope or despair as the ending, and as Tsumugi says, hope always wins. So the students are tasked with voting for either Kibo or Tsumugi, hope or despair. But the punishment, from what I understand, voting for Kibo will punish him, and the punishment is revealed not to be death, but by participating in another killing game, much like how Rantaro was the ultimate survivor, and he previously voted for hope, making him participate in another killing game. Shuichi comes to the conclusion that the killing game persists because hope always wins, meaning if he votes for hope, then it's basically guaranteed that another killing game will happen because that person will be the ultimate survivor. Neither hope nor despair can win in this case. Shuichi opts to fight the outside world by refusing to vote. A little tidbit is that Maki herself argues that if her voice and actions can change reality, then her existence will have meaning. And, by the power of fiction, Kibo abstained from voting whilst being controlled by the world, meaning the world changed. By the power of fiction, we can change the world. Hell yeah. It ends with Kibo annihilating everything and everyone. Yeah. That's totally where it ends. I also skipped over the fact that this entire trial, Tsumugi, the ultimate cosplayer, is cosplaying as all of our beloved characters from past Danganronpa titles. So keep that in mind, I guess. Okay, so it might sound like this ending is kind of mean, right? It's mean to both the player and to the characters in the game. And for some, this is a reason to praise it. See, Danganronpa is a series about bringing despair to humanity, and what is better than bringing despair to both the real and the fictional world? We, in reality, feel the despair being told the obvious, that our favorite characters are reduced to nothing more than a script, while our fictional characters feel the despair of being told the same and having their entire world stripped away. But that same notion is what makes this ending so horrible. Removing the idea of ulterior motives and hypothetical metaphor of this ending, let's look at it at face value. At face value, the game devs just insulted their audience. It's a risky move telling your player base that they are the reason these characters are suffering, they're too hungry for content, they're ruining the series by wanting more and more. Because the emphasization of the sheer amount of killing games that have occurred is a clear complaint that they can only make so much content, so to speak. Besides the clear insults, it seems to me that the devs simply didn't know where to go with the story. If you think about it, if Chapter 6 didn't happen, there would be no hints to this twist, that I can recall anyway, kill me if I'm wrong, whatever. My point is that the writing was weak all game compared to the last two. There was a fake, frankly uninteresting build-up to a fake plot, and all of it was thrown away, making it seem like they just didn't know what to do with it. This point also brings me to Junko. Junko is of course name-dropped in the 6th trial, and I think once before then. She appears in the form of Tsumugi's cosplay. This tease and implication of Junko, only to be told the real reveal, tells on itself. It tells me that the writers didn't know what to do. It tells me that if they couldn't rely on Junko, they had no better ideas than to literally toss everything away. Tsumugi's cosplay is also just rude nostalgia bait. I shouldn't need to say more about how this sucks. I actually could not care less about the reveal of the audience. We're not unfamiliar with the concept of the games being broadcast. It's just the way that it's presented. The audience is obviously us, and the audience is obviously a bunch of assholes. In a way, when we fight Kibo at the end, we're fighting ourselves to end the series. Okay, now listen before you hop into the comment section. I can appreciate the arguments that this ending is good. I can appreciate the boldness and the rawness of it. I appreciate the concept that fiction can change the world. I appreciate the theories that talking about if Tsumugi was even telling the truth about everything. But this ending left a bad taste in my mouth. And you don't need to agree with me either. I'm not saying that this is gospel, but after playing Danganronpa 2 and watching the Danganronpa 3 anime, I was absolutely obsessed. I loved everything it was. But this was not it. This purposefully killed any and all good vibes, and I hate it for that. If one good thing came out of this ending, it's these lines by Shuichi's voice actor.
When Maki said she was going to sacrifice herself just now, I thought, why? So many of our friends have sacrificed their lives. Why Maki? Why now? Why do we have to go through it again? The sorrow of losing Kaede and Kaito. Why do we have to feel that sadness over and over and over again? Why do we have to bear that burden? Well, I don't care how much the audience wants it. I'm not gonna feel that way anymore! I don't want anyone to feel that way anymore! Even if this is fiction, even if we're all fictional, the pain in my heart is real. The sadness I feel when I lose the people I love is real! I won't forgive this game that treats us like toys.
Okay, are we done here? How long has it been? How long have I been sitting here? Holy shit. Alright. So, whether you like it or not, I like this game. I do. Trust me, I do like this game. Whether you like it or not, it has a lot of issues. I would love to hear your opinions about it in the comments. But I really think that this series is something special, and I think that's why this game upset me so much. Not so much upset me, but disappointed me in a way, because I was really hoping for it to build on something that I love to death. And a lot of the issues that this game has could have been easily avoided. Like, just don't write these horrible characters and annoying plot lines. Just don't. But I think at the end of the day, the writers were kind of getting a kick out of it, so I guess if they had fun, yeah, good for them. And for anyone still watching, don't go away. I just want to say really quickly that thank you for watching this entire thing. It's actually crazy that you did, because this is my very first video essay, and I've never written one before, and I'm happy I made it. Thank you so much for being here, and you can leave now, but first, maybe give me a comment. I'm really curious to know if my takes are horrible, and if what I said made any sense at all. Alrighty, well, thank you, have a great day, and I love you. Goodbye!